How do you effectively lead your Agile team members when you're not their manager? You're already expected to distribute and/or track the work, but you also need to motivate the team to focus and deliver. How do you sort out what it means to be a leader rather than a manager? In this video, I'll help you distinguish between the role of a manager and that of an Agile leader, and give you my 5 most important skills for becoming an inspirational Scrum Product Owner or Scrum Master. First, let me share a little bit about my experience with software and management. When I graduated from college, we had computers on campus, but a dedicated computer science degree was not something that most colleges offered. What I learned about software programming and the computer business, I learned on the job. When I started at Microsoft, I was given a chance to become a manager, which I was for about 3 months. I hated it, and my direct reports ended up hating me back. Why? Because I disliked being the person who judged my coworkers on their performance. My preferred style of leadership is by influence rather than authority. Thankfully, my direct reports were reorged away from me. With that miserable managerial experience behind me, I was happy to remain an individual contributor. Unfortunately for me, at that time, the only way to advance in a career at Microsoft was to become a manager. So I was stuck, and ultimately I left Microsoft at the 10-year mark. In the ensuing years, I looked around for other ways to be a leader in software development, and that's when I came upon the Agile Methodology and the opportunity to lead software teams as a non-manager. And that's what most Scrum Product Owners and Scrum Masters are, non-managers. It's an ingenious scenario, actually. You can lead the team without the pressure of having to evaluate your team members' performance and future raises as you go. But this scenario can also be a challenge because you do not have that kind of leverage over the team members who are not performing well. This is where an understanding of the difference between leadership skills and managerial skills becomes crucial. I'm not going to give you lessons in management in this video. You can find that kind of training all over the internet. What I want to emphasize here is the difference between management and leadership, specifically for Agile leaders. In our situation, managers are the people who create systems, who hire people to work in those systems, and who monitor the achievement of goals set by their managers. Leadership is the ability to inspire people to embrace, follow, and deliver on the goals set by management. This is why Scrum Product Owners and Scrum Masters are meant to be leaders, not managers. We're already tasked with delivering software. We just have to do it without the managerial leverage over people to get them to do the work. Instead, we inspire, guide, and mentor people to focus and deliver. And if we're good at it, we get to do it in an environment of trust and collaboration. So whether you're an employee of a company in one of these 2 roles, or a contractor recently dropped into a software project who's expected to get up and running in a hurry, your job is to inspirationally pull that team together to focus and deliver in a timely manner. Just a quick side note, in my videos I talk about Agile in the context of software development, but please know that Agile principles and practices can be applied to a wide variety of project types. I'll be doing a video on my experience with Agile in a marketing department in an upcoming video. Okay, back to software. Here are the 5 skills I have used over and over to gain the confidence of software teams and lead them to success without being their manager. Number 1, be a people person. If you follow my videos, you've probably heard me say over and over that Scrum is about people. To inspire people, you have to know them. So here's what you do. Get to know your team members and develop trust by genuinely caring about them. What do you know about your team members' personal lives? Did you pay attention when they mentioned their pets' names? You can do all of these things without prying by listening to the information they volunteer first and then remembering to ask about it later. Be transparent with them about your own life, your strengths and your weaknesses. Have you ever talked about your personal life? Share only what you feel comfortable sharing, but people are more likely to open up if you start the practice. Also, don't be afraid to ask them to remind you of things like their vacations and appointments, and make notes so that you don't seem like an uncaring person. It goes something like, oh yes, so-and-so is out today, rather than where's so-and-so, which tells your team members that you only care about the work they get done. Ensure that you keep any confidences they offer. This is the most important thing about this skill. In your attitude and your words and your action, do everything you can to demonstrate to your team members that you will keep confidential the information they choose to share. And conversely, do not ask for anything more than what they're willing to share, unless you're confused by what they said, and then it's okay to ask for clarity. Number 2, know what you don't know. Not only is this a key aspect of product planning, it's a call to learn the product you're attempting to ship. Although I have programming experience and I worked in QA in the past, I don't know everything there is to know about software. So I spend time learning the product I'm trying to ship. I get the developers to show me the software libraries and databases they use. I ask for access to the demo server so I can try out the user interface, if it has one. I attend classes if the company offers them. I watch YouTube videos so I can acquire the history of the product and feel more like I'm part of the team. I listen for shared team knowledge that isn't documented anywhere. Smart Scrum product owners do these things anyway for their jobs, but a lot of Scrum Masters I've worked with have never gone this far, and that puts them at a real disadvantage when it comes to leading their teams. This is what you need to do. Dig in and learn the product, whether that's software, hardware, or marketing materials. Your commitment to learning the product gives you credibility with your team, sharpens your professional skills, and helps you spot issues before they become problems. I can tell you from experience that sometimes my innocent product questions have uncovered dependencies that the team took for granted. Doing that ends up making you a valuable member of the team. Number 3, enable collaboration. Study the existing processes and look for ways to improve them. Just because they've always done it this way doesn't mean it's the best way. Now, do tread carefully and take it slowly. You're going to need buy-in to make changes. Here's where I combine a bit of skill number 2 with number 3. I mentioned getting the developers to show me the innards of the product so I can learn it. But that does 2 things. It gives me the product insights I need, but it also gives me a chance to notice how they do things. I'm not only looking for product insights, I'm looking for process insights. If there are team interdependencies, I can uncover them. If the team keeps tripping over a software dependency, I can document it and figure out whether it's caused by poor communication or whether it's not regarded as an issue when it might need to be. My favorite tactic is to use whatever online whiteboarding application the company offers. In my case, it's usually Miro.com. I start a diagram of the overall process of product development within the company, from the sources of product requirements to the release pipeline. I set up appointments with the people who've been identified to me as key members in the other teams. I show them my diagram and I get them to tell me what they think the process is. While they're speaking, I start dragging shapes and sticky notes to the whiteboard, and I ask them to correct me if I've written anything down incorrectly. In my past assignments, I have uncovered some serious communication snarls, and I've worked to untangle them. In that process, I've established myself as a contact who's not afraid to confront quirky situations and talk about them in an effort to increase communication and collaboration. And actions like that further establish you as a real leader. Number 4, set boundaries. Work closely with the team managers to clarify your role within the team. Let them know that you will take up existing issues with them should you find that your leadership techniques aren't working with resistant people. You want to be an ally of the engineering manager of those team members with which you work on a daily basis. You need to assure that manager that you're there to support their success, not to replace them. Establishing this stance is especially important if you actually report to the engineering manager rather than to a central Agile organization. Let the manager know that you intend to lead by influence and that you'll put forward your best effort to get the team members to cooperate and deliver their best. Moreover, you'll also let the manager know if, despite your best efforts, you're still having difficulty with a specific team member or combination of members. Put the effort in first and wait as long as you can before involving the manager, unless the disunity within your team is starting to damage team morale and their ability to deliver. Number 5, streamline the workload. Assess whether every Scrum ceremony needs to be used with your team and cut the ones they don't need. I know that these ceremonies are sacred to most Agile leaders, but you need to gauge the maturity of your team and determine whether, for example, skipping a daily stand-up now and again will impact team momentum. Pay attention to how the team communicates. They either use some kind of chat like Microsoft Teams or Slack, or rely on emails. Most teams use a combination of both, but within the team, you'll have people who are unresponsive or overwhelmed, and you need to know which is which. No developer ever asks for more meetings. They ask for streamlined meetings that let them get back to work. May you never be accused of having a meeting that could have been an email. That said, there are definitely times when having a meeting is important. It's usually when you need the immediate attention and response of the people to whom an email would otherwise be directed. There is one meeting type that I highly recommend, and that's a casual, non-work meeting that can happen once a week or twice a month. I've seen this take a couple of forms. At one company, we got together online on Tuesdays for lunch. People brought their food, tuned into the Zoom meeting, and sat there eating and chatting. Sometimes team members sat and did their work while online, not really talking to each other, but hanging out. This tactic is really helpful if all or part of your team works remotely. At another company, we set aside a Friday, non-work, 30-minute meeting where we shared the latest escapades of our pets and children, photos from our vacations, and plans for the weekend. Attendance was voluntary but highly encouraged. Sometimes we ended early. We did avoid scheduling other meetings at that time so that team members could participate. So now you know. These are substantive changes that can truly enhance your leadership skills and pave the way for your team's success as well as your own. I encourage you to go back through this video and make notes for yourself on what you can do differently with your team. Even if you only implement one or two of these skills, you'll be making a real difference in your team's productivity and in your own abilities. Let me know in the comments which of these skills you plan to implement with your team. Be sure to tap that like button and hit subscribe to stay informed about Agile. You'll be the first to know when my next video arrives. Until then, be sure to check out my Agile certification classes and my private chat server where fellow Agile professionals gather to support each other. The links to both of those are in the description. See you in the next video.